Well, I'm the only incumbent school board member that's running for re-election. So right off the bat, we have a 32-year loss of experience and board knowledge. My involvement in education in Decatur goes back about 25 years. One night I was getting ready to watch Monday Night Football, and I was told PTA meetings trump Monday Night Football. And went to the PTA meeting at Pershing School, and there were 5 people. Decided then that I needed to be involved. So after PTA at Pershing and Garfield, and being on the Parent Advisory Council as a member and a chair, and then going to the booster clubs at Mound and MacArthur and Stephen Decatur, I took the next step and ran for the board, and I am completing my 4th term. Why I'm running again, there's an awful lot going on. We have the Tech Academy issue, we have the college prep issue that's popped up, high school reform, high school renovation, contract negotiations, budget and income issues with the state of Illinois not deciding what they're doing till after we have to decide what we're doing. So would they cut $1 million out of our budget and say thank you? There's other issues the state's thrown out. School district consolidation, teacher pensions being dumped back on the districts, grant funding, federal aid. There's just a ton of stuff going on. This is a terrible time to have a major learning experience. Our current new board member has been on the board 2 years, and he keeps telling us that he didn't realize things when they keep popping up. So it takes about 2 to 3 years to figure out just basically what's going on. I'm running because I think I can be an asset to the future. I don't intend to make this a career, but I'm ready to get in and tackle the challenges at hand. I have a family history of school district involvement. My daughter and wife both teach. My sister's an administrator in Urbana, and my brother-in-law's on the Champaign School Board. So we have educational meetings and find out what's going on in everybody else's district. I think I can bring also some fiscal conservatism to the board. I've been called tight, I've been called cheap. I like to think I'm frugal. We're not going to get the money we had, so we have to be more careful. I want to stay and help keep the purse strings tight. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Hodges?
Okay, hi. I'm Brian Hodges, lifelong resident of Decatur. Went to E.J. Muffley Elementary School, Johns Hill Junior High back in the time, and graduated from Eisenhower High School. I came to the district as an employee in 1973. I have 27 years of experience in District 61 as a teacher, coach, administrator at MacArthur High School. And then I left and came back for about 13 years. I was a regional operations director for a long-term care health care organization, and learned quite a bit about the business end. I was in charge of 15 facilities and about $100 million budget, and at kind of end of that experience, I said it's time to come back and help the district a little bit. I came back as a human resource director, and then as assistant superintendent. So I had quite a bit of years of experience in education. And when I retired in July, I thought, what better way can I, spend some of my time but to come back and help, in some of the areas that I haven't been able to help as an employee. One of the things that you find is, as an employee, that you're kind of hampered by, what the board does, what the superintendent does, and not really what some of the things that you would like to see happen. And so, as a board member, I think I can have some direction and some things that I see that need to happen in our district. I love Decatur. I spend a lot of time going out and talking with people in the community. And for the most part, they're not very happy. They're not happy with our school systems. They're not happy with the issues that are out there. Safe School is the biggest one. That'll be one of the things that I'll talk about. They're not happy with the way the budget is. And then the actual cultural environment in our district is poor right now. And I think I can help those. I have some experience knowing some of the inside things that may be a problem with our district. I think I can help with that. I have financial background. I do know our budget. I know it very well. I know there are some areas that we can make some changes at. And I think from listening to people and understanding their concerns, I think we can really do some things about our safe schools. Our community is concerned about that. They're concerned that we're not bringing businesses to town, And if you don't have a school system where people feel confident, they're not going to want to bring their families here. And unfortunately, that's what I'm hearing. So I think those are things that we can do to help correct those things. And I think I have the knowledge and experience being with our district, knowing the community and knowing the people that are here, that I can make a difference.
Okay. Phillips?
As you said, I'm John Phillips, and in contrast, I guess, I have lots of education, but not a lot of history in this system. I've been in town 20 years now, but I guess that makes me almost a newcomer in the group. But that, by that same token, I am old enough and been enough places, lived enough places to have seen some alternatives and to understand some about what the other options are for school systems and things that can be done to really make them better. Several years ago, there was an opportunity to become involved in the Education Coalition. I did that near its beginning, but not right at its beginning, and joined two of its subgroups. One where I interacted with Todd at some length, where we were looking at the future of what ought to happen after graduation and what ought to be happening with our high school people. Explored all kinds of options, but ultimately executed, and I'm not claiming credit for this except participation in one of Todd's ideas, which was the what's now called 3C, or the group meet place at the library now, where students can go and look at what the options are for their future. At the same time, I began tutoring in the group 2 group at Brush College Elementary, and spent some time with fourth graders and kind of learning, particularly you end up with students that are behind a little bit and what you can do to help cause them to move ahead. So I've spent quite a lot of time in high schools and quite a lot of time in elementary schools. I got some more time available and signed up and spent some time as a substitute teacher. And so I've been in the 2 high schools as a substitute, and I've been in Phoenix and spent some time there, and that's a whole story into itself. So I've been there and I've looked at it, not as a regular employee, not as someone that deals with it every day. Admittedly, a substitute comes in on a different basis, but at least having the observations of some of the good and some of the bad. As a part of that experience, I joined very actively the high school task force. You'll find in all these activities that I'm not just an attendee, I am a participant. And I was, from the very beginning, expressing ideas and the thoughts that ultimately led to the renovation of the 2 high schools as opposed to 1 new high school, or some of the other options that were being considered. I became a part of the finance committee and worked actively in that group in terms of how were we going to finance whatever we changed in the high schools. Working with that group gave me a great deal of insight, both into tax law and options and how things could, and was a part of that decision that said we couldn't include the Tech Academy because we only had enough money to do the 2 high schools. And assuming that we did not also ask the public for a property tax. And none of us believed that a property tax increase at the same time as a sales tax increase is a saleable proposition. And so we narrowed it down to what could be purchased with the sales tax, and went out and sold that effort from top to bottom. I was out there knocking on doors, doing canvassing and door-to-door, trying to get people out to vote. I'm very proud of the fact that we were successful with that. Hey, 51 to 49, but still, in this climate, in this center of the world, I think it was a significant accomplishment. Again, not for my credit, just my participation and active participation. I've now followed that up by becoming equally active in the high school reform task force. And if you know me, you'll know that you won't be in a room with me without hearing opinions. And sometimes they're good and sometimes they're bad. But an idea person is what I see myself to be, and someone who I believe can contribute, because you're going to have a couple of new people on that school board at least. And in having a couple of new people, it would be nice if there were some new ideas, some thoughts, some different perspective, and that could at least be considered as a part of the options that are being done. But I see myself as a contributor, and I believe I can be an effective one. reasonably knowledgeable and very active in lots of parts of the community. And in the end, I view the schools as a part of the city's economic development program. This city cannot progress unless we can be proud of our schools. And I see that as being the next step, and I'd like to contribute to that.
Okay, thanks.
Hi, I'm Cordell Ingram. I've been a part of the Decatur community now 20 years, and I walked onto Millikan University's campus in 1991. I have taught at all three levels in District 61. I started off as an elementary teacher at Garfield, moved on to middle school at Roosevelt Middle School, and then also taught math at MacArthur High School. Of course, that is encompassed with 16 years of coaching at all three levels, and really spending the last 20 years motivating kids. I'm currently the principal of Robertson Charter School, been there 9 years, and its storied success, I'd like to be able to say that I had some hand in it. Why the school board? Well, in my 20 years of being a part of Decatur, I've never been a bench warmer. And whenever I've seen the need for something to be done, it has always been in me to go make it happen and go do it. And so going back to my days of coaching football at MacArthur, here lately, my last project being Decatur JFL, going from a program with 300 participants to now 585 girls and boys participating. And I just felt like this was an opportunity with 3 chairs being available on our school board to really see some significant changes. In some way, as Brian said, I've got an ear to the people, and right now the people are looking for something. It's been a rough couple of years. We are continued the motto of something new, a fresh start. But the people are still seeking out what that really means. And so my desire is threefold, my platform. Starting off, we've got to do something with alternative education. We have 200 to 300 students in our high schools at MacArthur and Eisenhower that have truly made it clear that this is not going to be the right setting for them to be successful in. And my son and daughter are both MacArthur students, and right now, you know, it's clear. These students have shown through their actions that this is not going to be the place for us. I am a believer that everyone can be educated, and so unlike the throw them all in a room concept, I know that if we can take these kids and find those things, whether that's technical, whether that's hands-on in a different setting with a lot more control in those things, I believe we can educate those students. The second piece of my platform, of course, is fiscal responsibility. You know, school is business. People who have separated them have been wrong for years, and we have to stop that. It's not acceptable for schools to be in the red. I mean, a business can't survive in the red, then our schools cannot survive in the red. And yes, we are all dealing with the crazy climate of our state of Illinois and their funny money, but we have to do a better job of being fiscally responsible. And then finally, it's the idea of bridging the gaps through the community. We have done some things to attempt to take steps that direction, but there is a need for the business force and the school force to come together, because the bottom line is, if people are going to be leaving Decatur and not starting businesses in Decatur because they're not comfortable with the level of education that they can give their kids, then that is a problem for the city of Decatur, not just for the school district. And so I just believe that there is some work to be done. As I mentioned earlier, I'm never a bench warmer, and so I am ready to dive in with both hands and get involved in the work.
Thanks.
Good evening. I'm Sheree Perkins. It's simple for me. It's about giving back to a community that I am so proud of and blessed to be a part of. I'd like to take the skill set that I've learned in corporate America and make a difference. The school board needs strong leadership, and when I think of a leader, I think of a change agent, someone who's values-based, a collaborator, shared purpose, committed, determined, dedicated, and that's who I am. My platform: increase academic achievement, maintain a safe learning environment, and address parental accountability responsibility. Thank you.
Thanks.
Duane Mycoskie, lifelong resident of Decatur. product of Decatur Public Schools, went to Oak Grove, Roosevelt, and graduated from MacArthur in 1981. Like Dan, I've been involved as a parent and as a community member for 15, almost 20 years. Worked with several superintendents, was actively involved in the shared decision-making processes and how that evolved over the years. I've been involved with the parent advisory committees, chairing that for a couple years, working with the several board members. I've been a board member and chairman of the board of Partners in Education for several years. I have two students, my children. Our oldest is a freshman at MacArthur. Our youngest is he's a sixth grader at Garfield Montessori. My wife's a school teacher. She's in her 25th year at Muffley Elementary, teaching third grade. So I've been involved over these past 20 years and kind of felt, okay, I've done the booster clubs and stuff, and I feel like maybe my next step is being a part of the board. It's something I've always wanted to do, and just with the family situation, waiting for the kids to get older and the wife to feel comfortable with me being in that position, we feel that now's the time for that. But Decatur Public Schools, education is very important. It's important to me, it's important to my family, but education itself is important. And I think the key thing for this community is I'm tired sometimes, I feel as parents in Decatur Public Schools, we have to defend our choice to be a part of the public education system, and there's no reason for that. There's quality stuff going on in the system. Is there room for improvement? Absolutely. There's room for improvement everywhere. My big three things really, like everybody else, academic achievement, but it's more sustainable academic achievement. Let's get these kids in these classrooms working to where they're learning the skills, gaining the knowledge so they can become better and better year after year. We do this little kabuki dance every year in March with the ISAT test. It's not going away. We're going to have to deal with it, but we need to educate these children for life, not just taking a test. They're not going to care when they go to a job interview what their ISAT score was in sixth grade on their reading. Let's educate these children so they have a basis to grow as individuals as they move on with their life. Fiscal responsibility and stewardship. As everybody else knows, we're in weird times. The key thing is money's tight, and we have to make sure that we're spending money in the right places. We're in the business, for lack of a better term, to educate children. So we need to make sure that the monies we spend get as far down to the classroom, to those kids as possible. And if we have to make hard choices, we have to make hard choices, but at the end of the game, we have to make sure what's happening in the classroom continues to happen in the classroom. And then the cultural issue, they've talked about before, lifelong learning. I'm a big advocate of lifelong learning. Education doesn't stop when you graduate in May. After 12 years, you're not done. You go on and you go on. And I really, truly feel we can create a culture that the staff can be proud of, students can be proud of, the community can be proud of, through respect, trust, and most importantly, discipline. We have to get discipline and make sure people feel safe and comfortable in the schools. If we can address the discipline and we can address the academic success, continuing improving that, making improvements in that, I think the rest of it will fall into place. Sometimes we talk about parents and the community not being involved. Well, I think at some point in time, they're kind of distressed because they feel what's happening. If we can address and improve those foundational elements of the school district, they'll come along with it. And those are the three things I'm after.
Thanks.
Hi, I'm Christine Frank, lifelong resident of Decatur, along with my husband, my parents. We all lived here our whole lives, like Decatur. I'm co-owner of a small business here in Decatur that's been in business since 1970. So I do know a little bit on a much smaller scale about budgets and things like that. I would like to see, obviously, we have to be more fiscally responsible, but I'd also like to see that, when we start making these cuts, that if we're going to cut, that it's nothing that affects, our children's education. Cuts have to start at the top and work their way down. That's the only way to do it. I personally have seen that in my own business. A restaurant business, of course, is really, really struggling today. And my partner and I have had to see those cuts from us all the way down to keep our business going. So I think I do understand that, only on a smaller scale. I have 2 children that went through Decatur Public Schools, 2 grandchildren that are currently in Decatur Public Schools, 1 on the way. that'll be in Decatur Public Schools in 3 years. So I've been involved in the schools for a long time. Always have done volunteer work in the schools, very hands-on with my kids and my grandkids, as far as just whatever the schools needed and whatever my kids and grandkids needed. Currently Booster Club president at Stephen Decatur Middle School. Enjoy that a lot, enjoy helping the kids and being with kids. A lot of the things that I would like to bring to the board, as someone that doesn't have a lot of experience, is hopefully some fresh ideas and maybe a more open door policy, I guess. You know, I'm hoping that I can reach out to the parents and maybe the community that don't maybe feel as comfortable approaching, you know, the board. I'd like to definitely involve parents and the community much more in our Decatur schools. There's got to be more accountability, and it has to start with parents and continue clear through to it has to, you know, the students, the teachers, everyone. And the discipline definitely has to be part of that too. It has to be addressed. It's a big problem. It's disruptive to the children that do want to learn. Again, I agree. I don't think we should just throw them in a room and say, here you go. I too think that most children can and want to learn. You know, you just have to do it differently with some of them. I would like to work on that. And just an overall, I guess, accountability, and also just seeing a bigger presence of backing for our teachers, for our principals, all the staff in the schools. I feel like we've got a lot of policy out there but isn't being enforced as far as dress code, discipline, and different things like that. So I would like to see that also take place where those that administration and those teachers feel like they have the backing they need to do their proper job.